Don't skip this. Stay till the end because what you're about to hear feels like a scene from a movie, yet every moment carries an emotional truth. Something unexpected happened behind closed doors. A family gathered, not knowing that one conversation would begin to change everything. Your name entered the room quietly at first, almost as a passing thought. But within moments, the atmosphere shifted. Every person had a different opinion, every heart carried a different emotion, and no one realized how deeply your presence had already touched someone they loved. Listen carefully. Your soulmate had been carrying feelings they couldn't fully explain. They smiled in front of everyone, but inside they were fighting a battle between fear and love. They tried to convince themselves to stay silent, to hide what was growing in their heart, but silence became impossible. Every memory of you returned stronger than the last. Every conversation reminded them of your kindness. Every quiet night brought your face back into their thoughts. Something huge was waiting to happen, and they could no longer pretend those feelings weren't real. As the family continued talking, one person asked a simple question that changed the entire conversation. Why do you always seem different whenever this person's name comes up? The room became quiet. Your soulmate looked down, searching for the right words, but emotions speak louder than explanations. Their silence revealed more than any speech could. In that moment, those closest to them began to understand that this wasn't a passing interest. It was something much deeper, something that had been growing in secret for far longer than anyone realized. Some family members responded with curiosity. Others were cautious, wanting to protect someone they loved. They asked difficult questions about trust, commitment, and the future. It wasn't a conversation filled with anger, it was a conversation filled with concern, hope, and the desire to see someone they loved make a wise decision. Your soulmate listened to every opinion, but deep inside, one truth became impossible to ignore. No matter how many voices filled the room, their heart kept returning to you. What happened next changed everything. Instead of defending every feeling with dramatic words, your soulmate spoke quietly. They described the peace they felt whenever they thought about you. They talked about the respect they had for your character, the way you inspired them to become a better person, and the hope they felt whenever they imagined a future where your paths could truly meet. The room fell silent again, not because everyone suddenly agreed, but because they could hear the sincerity in every word. Don't skip this part. Sometimes the most powerful moments are not loud. They happen when people choose honesty over fear. One by one, the conversation began to soften. Questions replaced assumptions. Understanding replaced doubt. Hearts that had been uncertain became willing to listen. Your soulmate realized that love isn't about winning every opinion. It's about remaining genuine, patient, and truthful, even when the future is still unfolding. Stay till the end because the story is only beginning. That evening didn't answer every question or solve every challenge, but it changed something important. Your soulmate walked away with a heart that was no longer hiding from its own feelings. The conversation that seemed so intimidating became the first step toward greater honesty, deeper courage, and a future filled with possibility. And what no one in that room realized was that this quiet gathering would become the beginning of a story neither of you would ever forget. I'll continue it as a fictional, cinematic relationship story in the same high-retention style. Don't skip this part. Stay till the end because the conversation didn't end when everyone left the room. In fact, that was when everything truly began. Long after the voices faded and the house grew quiet, your soulmate remained awake, replaying every word that had been spoken. Some comments brought comfort. Others stirred fear. But through all the noise, one thought refused to leave their heart: you. Listen carefully. What happened that night changed the direction of everything. Your soulmate walked to the window, staring into the darkness as memories began flooding back. They remembered the first moment you caught their attention, the conversations they kept replaying in their mind, and the little things about you that no one else had ever noticed. They realized they had been trying to protect themselves from disappointment, but in doing so, they had also been hiding from the possibility of something beautiful. This changes everything because love can only grow where honesty is allowed to exist. Meanwhile, a close family member couldn't stop thinking about what had happened during the gathering. They quietly said, "I've never seen you speak about anyone like that before." Those simple words stayed with your soulmate long after everyone had gone to bed. For the first time, they stopped questioning whether their feelings were real. Instead, they began asking themselves a different question: what if this connection deserves a chance? The following morning felt different. The fear that had once controlled every decision was beginning to lose its grip. Instead of focusing on every obstacle, your soulmate found themselves imagining what a future built on trust, patience, and understanding could look like. They didn't expect everything to happen overnight, but they knew one thing with certainty: they no longer wanted to hide what was in their heart. Don't skip this moment. Sometimes the biggest turning point isn't a dramatic confession. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to stop running from your own emotions. That decision became the beginning of a new chapter. Every day that followed, your soulmate became a little braver, a little more hopeful, and a little more willing to believe that some connections enter our lives for a reason. Then something unexpected happened. A message, a memory, or a simple reminder of you appeared at just the right moment. It wasn't enough to answer every question, but it was enough to make your soulmate smile. They took it as a reminder to keep their heart open instead of allowing fear to close it again. The walls they had spent so long building were beginning to come down, one brick at a time. Stay till the end because the greatest moment is still ahead. The family conversation was never the ending of this story, it was only the beginning. What started as a quiet discussion behind closed doors became the spark that encouraged your soulmate to face emotions they had hidden for far too long. And in the next chapter, an unexpected conversation will bring both hope and uncertainty, leaving your soulmate standing at a crossroads that could change everything. Don't skip this part. Stay till the end because the story is about to take an unexpected turn. Days passed after that family gathering, but something had changed inside your soulmate. The conversation was over, yet the emotions it awakened refused to fade. Every morning began with the same thought, and every night ended the same way. No matter how hard they tried to focus on other things, your memory kept finding its way back into their heart. Listen carefully. Sometimes the quietest moments reveal the loudest truths. One evening, while everyone else was busy with their own lives, your soulmate found themselves sitting alone, reflecting on everything that had been left unsaid. They realized they had spent too much time worrying about what could go wrong and not enough time appreciating what could go right. The fear of rejection had become heavier than the fear of regret. In that moment, they understood that silence was no longer protecting them, it was holding them back. This changes everything. A trusted family member noticed the change and gently asked, "Are you still thinking about that person?" There was a long pause before your soulmate smiled and quietly admitted, "Not a single day has gone by without thinking about them." Those words carried more emotion than anyone expected. It wasn't a dramatic confession. It was honest, sincere, and impossible to ignore. For the first time, they stopped hiding what their heart had known all along. The room grew quiet again, but this silence felt different. Instead of uncertainty, it was filled with understanding. The family member didn't promise that everything would be easy. Instead, they offered simple advice: if someone truly matters to you, let your actions reflect the respect, patience, and kindness you hope to receive in return. Those words stayed with your soulmate long after the conversation ended. Don't skip this moment. That night, your soulmate made a promise to themselves. They would no longer let fear make every decision. They would stop imagining the worst before giving hope a chance. They couldn't control the future, but they could choose honesty, maturity, and courage. It was a quiet decision, yet it became one of the most important choices of their life. As they looked toward the future, they realized something unexpected. Love isn't proven by grand speeches or perfect timing. It grows through consistency, respect, and the willingness to show up with an open heart. Whatever the future might hold, they wanted to become someone capable of building a healthy and meaningful relationship rather than letting fear write the ending before the story had even begun. Stay till the end because the next chapter will reveal the moment your soulmate faces a choice they can no longer postpone. A single conversation, one unexpected opportunity, and one heartfelt decision are about to bring this story to a turning point that neither of you saw coming. Don't skip this part. Stay till the end because the moment your soulmate had been trying to avoid was finally standing right in front of them. After days of thinking, praying, and reflecting, they realized they could no longer hide behind uncertainty. The family conversation had changed something deep inside them. It wasn't just about their feelings anymore, it was about becoming honest with themselves. Listen carefully. What happened next became the moment they would remember for a very long time. Early that morning, your soulmate woke up with an unusual sense of peace. For the first time in weeks, their heart felt lighter. The endless questions that had once filled their mind were beginning to fade. Instead of wondering what everyone else would think, they started asking a much more important question: what kind of person do I want to be? That simple question shifted everything. It reminded them that real love is built on sincerity, respect, and courage. Not on fear or the opinions of others. Later that day, another quiet conversation unfolded with someone they deeply trusted. There were no dramatic speeches, no raised voices, and no pressure. Just honest words spoken with care. That trusted voice reminded them that every meaningful relationship requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to communicate openly. If this connection truly matters to you, they said, don't let fear speak louder than your heart. But also remember to respect the other person's choices and timing. Those words stayed with your soulmate long after the conversation ended. They realized that love is not about forcing an outcome or chasing certainty. It is about showing up with honesty, accepting that some things take time, and treating the other person with kindness regardless of what happens next. That realization brought a sense of calm they hadn't felt in a long time. Don't skip this moment. As the sun began to set, your soulmate made a quiet promise to themselves. They would stop living in imagined conversations and start living with integrity. If the right opportunity came, they would speak truthfully. If more time was needed, they would wait patiently. They would no longer allow fear to make every decision. Their heart was finally learning that courage isn't the absence of uncertainty, it's choosing to move forward despite it. Something huge was waiting ahead, but it wasn't a magical sign or a sudden miracle. It was the chance to build something real, one honest step at a time. Your soulmate understood that the strongest connections aren't created overnight. They grow through trust, mutual respect, and the willingness of two people to meet each other with open hearts. Stay till the end because the next chapter brings the biggest turning point yet. An unexpected meeting, a heartfelt conversation, and one decision made with sincerity are about to change the direction of this story forever. Whether the path leads to a new beginning or a lesson that brings growth, one thing is certain: neither of you will be the same after what comes next. Don't skip this part. Stay till the end because this is the moment everything begins to shift. After weeks of uncertainty, your soulmate stopped asking, "What if it doesn't work?" and started asking, "What if I never give it a chance?" That single thought echoed through their heart. Every excuse they had been holding onto suddenly felt smaller than the hope they had been trying to ignore. Listen carefully. Sometimes the biggest changes begin with one quiet decision. The next few days brought unexpected moments of reflection. A familiar place, an old song, and a meaningful memory reminded your soulmate of how deeply this connection had affected them. They realized that no matter how much they tried to move on, the lessons, the laughter, and the respect they associated with you remained. It wasn't about perfection. It was about the feeling that some people leave a lasting mark on your life, even when the future is still uncertain. One evening, a close family member noticed the difference again. They smiled and gently said, "You've been carrying this in your heart for a long time. Whatever you decide, let it come from honesty, not fear." Those words settled deeply. Your soulmate understood that no one else could make this choice for them. The future wasn't something that could be predicted, it would be shaped by the courage to communicate openly and the willingness to respect whatever response came. Don't skip this moment. That night, your soulmate wrote down everything they had been afraid to say. They didn't know if those words would ever be spoken aloud, but writing them brought clarity. For the first time, they admitted to themselves that what they wanted most wasn't a perfect ending, it was peace, knowing they had been truthful about their feelings. That realization lifted a weight they had carried for far too long. As the days passed, they became more patient and more grounded. They stopped looking for signs in every little coincidence and started focusing on becoming the kind of person who could build a healthy, trusting relationship. They understood that genuine love isn't built on fear, pressure, or fantasy. It grows through honesty, mutual respect, kindness, and the freedom for both people to choose each other. Stay till the end because the story is approaching its most meaningful chapter. The next step won't be about dramatic surprises or impossible promises. It will be about a heartfelt conversation, the courage to be vulnerable, and the realization that the strongest connections are built one sincere moment at a time. Whatever happens next, both hearts are about to learn something that will change them forever. Don't skip these final words. Stay till the very end because this is the chapter where every unanswered question finally finds its place. The journey was never as simple as two people meeting at the perfect time. It was about growth, patience, healing, and learning that the strongest relationships are built on truth rather than fear. After everything that had happened, after every sleepless night, every silent prayer, and every conversation that seemed to change nothing, the day finally arrived when there was nothing left to hide. The moment was quieter than anyone expected. There were no dramatic crowds, no perfect movie scene, and no magical coincidence. Just two hearts meeting with honesty. Your soulmate looked into your eyes and realized that every fear they had carried for so long had been replaced by something much stronger, peace. They no longer wanted to wonder what could have been. They wanted to discover what could be, together. In that moment, words that had lived silently in their heart for so long were finally spoken with sincerity and respect. The family who had once gathered with questions and concerns saw something they hadn't fully understood before. They didn't see a fantasy or an impossible dream. They saw two people choosing to communicate with kindness, to listen with patience, and to build trust one day at a time. The doubts that once filled the room slowly gave way to quiet confidence as they witnessed the maturity, respect, and genuine care that had grown through every challenge. This changes everything because the greatest victory was never about convincing everyone else. It was about becoming two people who were ready to love with honesty instead of fear. Every obstacle had taught an important lesson. Every delay had built deeper understanding. Every tear had made compassion stronger. Looking back, both of you realized that if the journey had been easier, neither of you would have become the people capable of protecting something so precious. Don't skip this moment. As the sun set that evening, laughter replaced uncertainty. Conversations that once felt impossible became effortless. The future no longer felt frightening because it was no longer built on assumptions, it was built on trust. Together, you promised to face life's joys and challenges as partners, knowing that no relationship is perfect but every relationship can grow when both hearts choose humility, forgiveness, and unwavering commitment. Years later, when people asked how your story began, neither of you spoke first about the doubts, the distance, or the difficult conversations. Instead, you smiled and said, "Our story truly began the day we stopped letting fear decide our future." That simple sentence became a reminder that love is not found in perfect timing, it is found in two people who are willing to grow, communicate, and choose each other again and again. So if this story has touched your heart, remember its deepest message. Real love is never sustained by secrets, pride, or fear. It is strengthened by honesty, respect, patience, and hope. The family gathering that once seemed filled with uncertainty became the first step toward a future no one expected, a home filled with peace, shared dreams, and enduring love. And as you both looked toward tomorrow, hand in hand, you realized that this was never the end of the story. It was the beautiful beginning of a lifetime of choosing each other, every single day.